Right then, hello there, I'm another Magento dev with a late stream. Apologies, technical issues with my camera and shit. So if it goes, hopefully, if my camera goes off or I freeze, hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. If anyone is in the chat, then let me know. If at worst you can't hear me, but we should be all right with the screen. So what we're going to do today, well, we're going to get into the code in a bit, and obviously people are going to be dipping in and out of this. I like to record some things live. I like to have other things where I plan the video and I do a bit more of a crash course or a tutorial. But this is a bit of a meandering, really. Something that I've really wanted to get to grips with for ages, ever since like the first live stream I did, and also just generally talking to other Magento devs when it's one of them things where it's all. My question is, can you basically get rid of Magento from Magento and still build a Magento? Now that sounds like absolute nonsense, doesn't it? But what I mean by that is there a way we can utilise actual Magento functionality within Magento, but maybe bring in something brand new and completely conceptual in terms of for the front end and for the theme? Because the more I've worked with Magento over the years, obviously as a dev, you stick to what you know a lot of the time, particularly if you're working for clients and they're paying you and you need to be efficient and stuff like that. But as a dev in my free time, I like to sort of experiment. I like to see what boundaries we can push. Just basically, a lot of these ideas, they're probably absolute rubbish and they're never going to amount to anything. But some of them, it might actually teach us something. It might actually teach us something traditional. By using something contemporary, it might actually teach us something about traditional Magento and how we can improve it. So what I'm talking about in this video is there any way we can make Magento's theming process more accessible? And what I mean by that is more accessible to developers who aren't necessarily Magento devs and know things like and sort of instinctively understand the folder structures and stuff like that. And well, I had this idea during the week, and the reason why this says view and view theme is obviously I was trying to get view working as a theme in Magento 2 as a theme in, how can we say it, a theme in sort of development workflow, because that's essentially what you end up with, is a development workflow that outputs HTML to the browser. That's all we're trying to do in the end, and that's all Magento does essentially at the end with its static content deploy. But I didn't get very far with view, and I don't think I got very far with view because it just didn't feel right to be crowbarring in the way view compiles and the way view likes to work with the virtual DOM. It just didn't feel right, and it felt as if I was going to hit ceilings and sort of sticking points as I went through that development. But I have got experience with a framework called Svelte JS, and strictly speaking, it's not actually a framework. It's a compiler, because what it does is it doesn't have a virtual DOM or anything like that. It basically compiles all of your template code, all of your code, what you can see in here, Svelte, if you've never seen it before. It's comprised predominantly of Svelte components, .Svelte components like that. And the way it works is it basically compiles all of your code to JavaScript, essentially, compiled JavaScript on the front end. So that, to my mind, was the way to go in terms of testing this out as a theory. So what I've done is I've actually got a workable theme up and running, and I wanted to sort of see where we could get with it in a 45-minute period, something like that. And what I've done is what it wants to do, what Svelte wants to do, is basically let's walk through it. So the way Svelte works is you can go to svelte.dev, and there's something called Svelte Kit, which is like like React Native, like sorry, not React Native, like Next, like Nuxt. It's like a bit of a wrapper, and it makes Svelte a little bit easy to use. But you can just use Svelte out the box, and just as a framework in and of itself. And I'll show you. Getting started is pretty simple. They've got a package or a micro framework like of Svelte, and it's called Digit. So basically, all I did was I built out a Digit framework into a theme, and then I took away the bits I didn't need. So what I've done here is I've got a Svelte folder, which is where I installed all my where I installed Svelte. And the main thing what you need is, and what Digit this Digit template gives you, is to start off with anyway, is a main.js. And the main.js essentially says which target it wants to. I tell you what, I'm gonna install one just to compare the two, and to show you the changes of what I've done, and just show you how easy it is. So if I go to I'll just throw this into my sites directory here. So if I do, as it says here, npx, because I don't want to sort of install this Digit globally, npx svelte nope, that ain't right. Let me just make this a little bit more visible. Svelte template. And then it's template, and this, by the way, is sort of ready to go. And then you call your project name whatever you want to call it. My Svelte temp, we'll call it. Right, and then this goes away, and it basically installs everything that you need in a little bundle, and it gives you a package JSON, obviously, and everything else you need. Where's it asking for a Git username? Nightmare. Let's install it into a. Let's install it into a directory. Don't know. It might have been something to do with it being in my sites folder. Right, so we'll do that again. So we'll say npx Digit. I'll just copy and paste it just to make sure I've done everything correctly. We'll paste this in here. Honestly, there is a point to this. There will be a point to this. Right then, there we go. So now if I do cd, and then it will be my Svelte project. Right, it's there. Right, and I'm just going to open this up in VS Code, and we'll have a quick peek. So what we've got here then is a public folder where it gives you index.html, basically with all the files that you're going to need to, get this up and running. And then it basically bundles all your JavaScript into this file here by default. And by default, you get an app Svelte. You've probably seen things like that in, when you first play with Vue or React. It basically gives you an app, like an entry point, and then a main.js. And this is what I was going to come on to. So the main.js. Right, so what I've done with the main.js is I've just specified a different element to output my app to. And the great thing about Svelte is, like, by default, it wants to put it as a target, a document in the document body here. It wants to put it in, basically target the body, which sort of matches up with index.html here. And it basically wants to output it into there. Other frameworks like an ID, but Svelte also can work with an ID. So what I'm starting to do here with regards to a Magento build with my main.js, my entry point, is almost build a bit of a hybrid Svelte app into the main.js, like into Magento as a whole. So what I want to do there is I don't want a single page app in Magento, because it's got other routes. It's got other places in Magento where there are pages, and we want to keep that functionality. Like I've got my, if I go to anywhere else in the app here, I've got my product page that I'm going to be able to do things with. There is certain things I want to keep about Magento. I don't just want to sort of chuck it all out and start from absolute scratch, because if I was doing that, then I'd build a headless app and I'd use Magento's API, GraphQL API, to bring in all the, and basically build a Vue storefront or a React storefront or a Svelte storefront. So I don't want to do that. I want to utilize all of the good things about this Svelte framework, and I want to build it into like a hybrid of Magento, of using Magento. And this also teaches us something else. This teaches us that we could actually start. We don't need to throw out Luma theme or blank theme. We could actually build Svelte components in modules into our theme and into our modules, as like, we could replace the cart if we wanted to, we could replace the checkout if we wanted to, but we could keep everything else. So there is sort of an approach here where you can be, it's like a hybrid. So it's like a hybrid theme. It's not completely taking out Magento, but we are sort of able to utilize the layout XML here to sort of build things again, if you like. So to give you an example of what I've done here, if we just come back to the home page, and I'll just actually, before I come back to this, is in the theme. So basically what I've done is, as I say, I've changed the entry point to my app, and I'm importing content and header, which are both here, look, globals, content and header, just to start off with, because I'm probably going to have other things in here. I could have pages, I could have components, and I could end up with something that resembles a theme basically. Notice that it's hot reloading every time I make a change, and the reason it's doing that is because, right, by default Svelte comes with Rollup as a compiler, which I can specify. I can show you here if you look in package. So when I run these, obviously it's running Rollup to output to bundle.js. Whereas I've changed that because I've already set up in my themes a Webpack version. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm using Webpack mixes or Laravel mixes plugin for Svelte to be able to compile Svelte the same as Rollup would, but I'm compiling it to a different place. I'm compiling it to my web.js directory, which is web.js, and I'm compiling it in here, so then when I do static content deploy, I can be confident that it's working with Magento static content and it's outputting to the page, and I'm not going to get any 404s. So I can show you that here. Script tag there, look, I'm getting my main.js. There's a few different ways I could do this. I think I'm doing it the simplest way. I'm also using Tailwind as well, which I think is quite important sort of aspect of this way of building themes, because Tailwind by default is difficult to get working with Magento anyway, because when you're building out containers with divs, it doesn't like some of the syntax of Tailwind, and you can't really use it without any ridiculous extra work with your layout files. But that works perfectly with this concept with Svelte, because, right, I'll show you what I've done. This is what I was going to come on to. Right, so first of all, I am deferring that script, but I'm adding it to the header. And then second of all, I'm deploying my sort of app CSS. I can get rid of that one because that's done. I've got a reference to my app CSS, which is getting compiled by Webpack. And it's basically compiling Tailwind into it at the minute, but I would be able to add other imports into that for SAS if I wanted to, because it would compile. And then and then it's also copying files and folders over to static, like I already enjoy with some of my mixed themes, because for that workflow of auto reload, you need things to be moved into static for us to be able to see the changes. So right, where are we at? So what we've got here then is we've got an interaction between our layout files, our blocks, and our Svelte down here, our application, if you like. So the interaction is, and first of all, I'm only doing this on the home page, and this is drastic, right, what I'm doing here, but basically what I'm doing is I'm removing the root. I'm basically removing Magento from the page load, because you can see there, look, there's virtually nothing being output. I've got a header and I've got a content up to now, right? And it's appending both to the body. And the way I'm doing that is by removing this here, everything. You can see I've got commented out other ways of doing it there. And I am then basically appending this container, which is header-container. I'm adding my own block into that, which is Magento theme header at the moment. And I'm adding another block underneath that for content as well. And now the reason I'm doing this is because I can now pass data to my header. So if I show you a header here, I'm able to get the logo, for example, and I'm able to get it from where was I? Here, this block. So if I just do a quick search for this in our friend vendor, you can see that, there we go. Default is our friend, by the way, when we're doing this. You can see that this block is already being got to get the default logo in the header wrapper, which means that we can access it directly in our own custom block, which is great, basically. And then, well, the question becomes, how do I get that into my Svelte component? Well, there's a few different ways you can do it. I wanted to keep this as sort of vanilla as possible. I could import jQuery into here and I could use that. I could even, if I wanted to, I could use Knockout, I could use Require.js, sorry, not Knockout, I could use Require.js, you know, in Magento and pass data that way using Magento. But there's a really simple way of doing it. And I'm probably going to get Magento purists and Require.js purists kicking off about this. But the way that I've done it is like the simplest way possible, I think, which is, first of all, I'm passing my class into my header block, which I've added here, and then my header, and I'm basically getting it, and then I'm just passing it as a data class into the div that I am attaching in my main.js, that I'm targeting in my main.js and saying use this component, which means once I'm in Svelte, I can use vanilla.js here. So you can see I'm getting, and I'm just using JS. Obviously, you can do this with .data. You can do $this.data in jQuery if I wanted to be in jQuery, but that means I have to bring jQuery in, and that's another overhead. So I'm not going to write at this point. And I've done some tests here, but basically what I'm getting here, if I just comment on that, is I'm getting the logo. Look. And then that means I can use the logo as a variable here. So I could get the path of the logo, and the way you do that in Svelte is you use your braces, and you can see it's updated on the fly for me, and that's my logo. So let's sort of build a bit of a header, and that might sort of get me talking this through from a different perspective. Let's see how far we can get passing things to it. And as I say, I'm using Tailwind, which, let's open up Tailwind, Tailwind Ui. I could use some Tailwind UI here, and these are some of the advantages of using Tailwind. It does have, Tailwind UI, it does have some, like, once you've got Tailwind installed, which is out of the scope for this video, but it's pretty much a standard install with Tailwind. I've basically just installed it. Look, I've installed a full sort of config so I could have a play, and basically all I'm doing using Webpack is I've put my Tailwind into my apps SCSS, and when I compile it using Webpack, look, I've just used this. I'm using so I've installed Tailwind, mixed Tailwind, and then I'm just compiling Tailwind basically to my CSS output, which means I've got full access to Tailwind. Now you can get there's some good UI here. I could get like headers, footers, and stuff like that, but I think that might be overkill for a header. So let's see if we can just build a header in Tailwind. So I'm just gonna close this down a little bit, and I'm gonna concentrate on mobile view, just so it fits on the screen. And we're gonna have a play. Right, so where would I start? Right, so I'll get into my header like this, and I basically want to show the logo, we'll say in the middle. So we'll start by adding some padding, and I'm gonna add left pad MX4, which is a Tailwind class, and then in here I'm gonna put an image tag, and a source tag, and then in my source tag I'm just going to, and again, people who recognise JavaScript frameworks are going to pick up Tailwind. Why am I doing this, right? Why am I bothering? Well, it might be the case that certain devs, particularly with the prevalence of these JavaScript frameworks nowadays, are more comfortable with Tailwind than they are with Magento, and they want to be able to build an e-commerce solution in Magento. Now, by no means am I saying that this is production ready. No chance. Not at all. But conceptually, someone who knows a lot about these JavaScript frameworks, like a Tailwind expert, could come to Magento and actually put their stamp on it. I'm by no means an absolute expert in Tailwind. I can get by. I've built a few apps with it, a few web apps. Same with Vue. So I can speak to it, but I'm by no means an expert. But there are people out there that are, and if I give them this starting point, I'm hoping that they'll watch this and think, oh, do you know what? I'm going to actually improve on that. There are actual better ways, Adam, that you can do that. There we go. It's uploading. Sorry, it's updating. So there's the Magento default logo showing straight away. And I put that in as 4, didn't I? I'm going to put padding all the way around this. There we go. And then bit margin all the way around it. And then so that's basically giving me my logo. I might want to let's have a look. Let's make this a little bit smaller. Now I'll tell you what. Let's add a couple more divs in. So this framework does need an overriding sort of like div, if you like, that holds everything in place. Let's just go on here, and we'll add in a grid. See if I can add it from here. So if I want to add a flex grid in Tailwind, just go for flex. My IntelliSense isn't working. Excuse me, which is a bit annoying. And what else might you have in your header? Well, you might have a search icon, so I'll just put a placeholder in for that for a second. I'll just say S. I'll say search just to give it a bit more. And you might also have a navigation. So you might also have a burger. A burger here. Let's see how it starts. Let's see if flex actually works. Nah, I think I've knackered up. What have I done wrong there? Why ain't it bringing through my image? Yeah, I've buggered this up. We'll say I think there was a class like width. There we go. It's working now. That's my IntelliSense working. And we'll say, what was it? Oh, I can't remember how to do this. These are M's. No, it's not having it. Right, we'll just go back to just having the logo in there for now, because it's more important that I show you how to get data from Magento. Might be because I've okay, it's back. What was going on there? Let's put a margin back on it. Say margin is 6. So yeah, so what you can sort of see there is I'm basically using Tailwind in Magento, which is a good thing. Right, so let's have a look at sort of getting something else through. And the other thing that I wanted to sort of experiment with is how to get the data from back to front. So from Magento, from things like these classes, pass it sort of succinctly into a PHTML file, and then get it from the PHTML file into, as I was saying, into a Svelte component, and obviously start building things out from there. So if we've got, let's have a look at the class again. So did I leave open my Magento theme? The one from the theme, from vendor. Right, okay. So let's have another look at what else we can get from this logo class. Now the logo is a funny one. But right, what we've got here, so we've got some other stuff, yeah, so we can get the alt tag. So that'll do. We'll see if we can get the alt tag through. Where are we? Logo. No, that's not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Sorry, one. Right. So we have got in my CMS index. Nope. Header block, and it was in there. Header page. You know. Right. So we'll get the alt tag as well. Obviously, this is all basic stuff, but it sort of speaks to a broader point really, in that this stuff's accessible. I should be able to get the alt tag. Just give it. It's not going to auto reload when I do my when I'm working a Magento file. It's only picking up at the moment my Svelte components. Right, and what I want to do is, in terms of this reminds me, or resembles, if you like, the way I would do things in Vue when I'm passing props backwards and forwards and stuff. So I don't mind doing this way. Like Magento has other ways of doing this natively with Require.js, but I'm basically trying to stay away from it, from Require.js, for as long as possible. So let's see if I can get and pass these things as an object, because that might be a bit tardier. But what I could do is, you know, in a component like this, if I wanted to, I could just say logo alt, and then I could simply pass the logo alt as a string through. It might, obviously it'll get a bit more complicated as I start bringing in objects from Magento, but what was it, alt? Okay, let's bring that through. So I should be passing logo alt. So hopefully it don't break anything, but I should be able to see it here. No, it's not giving me logo alt. I wonder if it's else. Let's have a check. No, I can't get alt. I've missed something. I've missed something important. That might not. Yeah, those things look like they were on. Logo width. Get width. What have I? Yeah, it says it's. I was able to get it, just like I was able to get the source there. Let's try it again. Let's try it a different way. So let's have a. Oh, I've got some people watching. Yeah, I was talking into the abyss. And I've got some comments. So theming for beginner up to date. Is the theming for beginner up to date? I mean, if it's from a year ago, this is from Ahmed Adel. If it's from over a year ago, some parts of it will be to date, if you like. You're going to get some parts of it where it is going to be still relevant. Obviously, what I'm doing is throwing everything out the water anyway, basically. And you're welcome, Arish. You're welcome for my efforts. I enjoy it. I enjoy talking to absolute no one on a Friday afternoon whilst arsing around with Svelte in Magento. I never thought I'd put all them words together into a sentence. So I truly am privileged in those regards. Right, I want to crack this nugget. I want to get some more. I want to get this data. I'm not going to be satisfied until I've got something from here, something else from here. Right then, so let's try this a different way. See if it echoes it. Nah, I'm getting an error. Let's see what error I'm getting though, because this is all interesting. If anything, it was too easy getting it all set up. I want it to break. What have I done wrong? Oh, I've asked. Oh, there we go. I'm not getting the alt tag. Why am I getting the alt tag? It says it's available. Logo alt. Logo sort. Get logo sort. Why couldn't, like, if I can get logo alt, I should be able to get logo source, shouldn't I? Sorry, if I can get logo source, I should be able to get logo alt. Maybe it isn't in that file. Maybe. And what I don't want to do in this video is start writing my own classes. I wanted to get things from here, and I don't need those resolvers, as I've proven. I don't know why that's. Shall I try getting logo resolver? Let's have a look at this store name. see if we can do something with store name. Oop. See if we can do something with this. Do you know why it might not have an alt tag? Because there isn't a fucking alt tag in the data, in the database. And I was just stressing out and searching for it. Yeah, I'm unable to get this theme name a thing. I think it's because I haven't entered anything in those places. Right, let's do that then. Let's do this properly. Let's do that. So M2 for hyphen view test admin. Right then. Let's see. So let's have a look in here with my full of demo data. We have got themes, configuration, edit. Yep, that was all alright. Just make sure that's saved, because it wasn't, because I was messing about with the databases earlier. Right, HTML edit. Header. Let's add a, there we go, look. So it didn't have an alt tag. Right, let's have a look. Save that. Make sure it's saved. Make sure I ain't got any other little bugs. No, that's all right. Okay. Right then. Let's just go back and get the alt tag again. Yes, right, it was that. So you can do this. Right, so I can move on, right? So my next point is, yes, I can pass the alt tag using that, but what I want to try and do is I want to pass an object, because it might look, you know, it might be a bit tardier. So in that case, I'm going to try doing it both ways. So I'm going to pass an object, and we're going to say alt, get rid of that for now, I don't need that, I know that's why I was messing about, and we'll pass another tag here. So is there a way to get Svelte to work in the same page, or would that be hard since they use different compilers? No, it isn't, mate. It isn't hard. You probably missed the beginning of this video. It isn't. It's really simple, because Svelte seems to be one of the best mates with anything. All you got to do is give it a tag, and it'll latch itself on. So I'll recap that in a second for the people who've just joined. But this might help. But yeah, you could build mini components. I was saying earlier, you can build components if you want. This is like a hybrid. What I've done here is I have took everything out, but I've done it intentionally because I wanted to sort of make a point and almost see how vanilla we can make it, how much Svelte we can make it. And there's obviously, as I get through a theme build, if I was going to do a full build on this, which I've probably not got the time in my life to do, but if I was going to do a full build on this, I'm bound to hit issues as I go forward that that makes me think, nah, I can't do this, or I'm going to have to go back to using, you know, Magento's page, list page has got to be Magento because of X, Y, and Z. Svelte just didn't handling it. I can't see why, to be honest, but it should do. And particularly, once you've got something built out, it's going to be pretty much standard. Right, so let's just move back to this. So if we've got, right, so I'm bringing this stuff through now, and I'm bringing it through in a couple of places. Look, I've got my data out coming through, and I've also got data coming from here. So I just wanted to talk about this, this part of it. So if you wanted to be more concise, you could use an object to bring this data through. And it's this is basically just using vanilla JavaScript. So I'm sure I called that object, didn't I? Let's just refresh that, and then that should right. So we could use data object. So now it's in that object there, data object logo, and it's still working. I'll just give it a proper refresh. No, it's not working. Right, let's just check the console, because I was trying to output something. Data object header, data set object. Now, I got rid of my data. I got rid of my header data, didn't I? Right, it's back. Brilliant. So yeah, look, I'm getting my object through, and obviously you might want to pass, like in the future, your product data all into one little component, and that way you maybe don't want to go about typing out everything as an object here. And obviously this does look neater. It just does look neater, and it's gonna, and it seems like it's possible to use, you know what I mean? Use like concepts from JavaScript frameworks within Magento. I just think it's quite cool. Let's do something else. Let's just go over the Svelte thing again, because I did get these set up from scratch. Now, what about if I want to add the footer, right? So, and we ain't really even touched on content. I'm going to come to that. But say we want to add a footer. Again, this is just for experimental purposes. This is probably not production ready, but it's not going to be far off, because I'm using things that I'm using Magento. So I'm going to say footer inner, and the reason I'm doing that is because I want to add my footer tag in my layout, right? And I know I've added it in CMS index, and I've added it to default. Obviously, I want to add my header, my footer, in default, but I'm sort of just experimenting on the index page here. So how do we add a footer? First of all, you need a container, and we're going to use that. And then we've got an ID. We don't necessarily need an ID on this container, so I'm going to take it off. The tag's important, because I want this tag to be a footer tag, so it's nice and semantic. And then I think that was the right word, I'm not sure. And then I don't particularly need an HTML class on it. And we don't really need a label, and we certainly don't need output 0, because that basically switches it off by default, which is handy. So I'm going to add my footer back, and now I'm going to say footer container. Now it might not like this, because do you know what? I'm going to Svelte footer container. So I'm adding a new component here. I'm not referencing the footer, because what I've done is I've removed everything from this page for starters. But I'm adding my container here. And what I want to do, similar to the header, is a container is not going to show, by the way, if you've not got anything in it by default. Magento doesn't show containers that are empty, right? Doesn't output into the page. But I'm going to add a new block, and I'm going to add this. Let's have a look, see if I can get a faster way of adding a block. But by the time I've asked around, it was probably just easier to type it out. Yeah, a layout block. Right. And now, what class am I going to add to this? And also what name? Well, the name can be whatever we want it to be, which would be we'll call it footer. What did I call the header? I'll call it footer.block. And I'm not so asked about as, because I'm not using a child HTML. It's not going into anything existing, so you don't really need that. But you need this, so I'm going to put it in my theme. And then we're going to say footer, which is the PHTML file that I added here. Look. There, footer. And in that footer, I added my anchor tag that I'm going to be anchoring my Svelte footer to. And now this is obviously a little bit more long-winded than using these frameworks, natively, if you like, or as they're intended. I mean, this, for me, you could argue that Svelte is intended to work like this, because that's the compiled version. We don't want to be looking at that, it'll hurt your eyes. This is its intention. Because Svelte is so flexible, right, I'm able to now add import my component in here, which you would be doing in your Svelte app anyway. I'm going to say footer from. Actually, I haven't added a Svelte component for footer yet, so I'm adding this to globals because I want to use them on all my pages of Magento. So I've got my footer in here, and I'm just gonna. I think the default or the minimum is just to have a div with footer written in it for now. But we're going to do something a bit more interesting in a second with it, I promise. Right, that's not going to compile properly from, and then globals, and then footer, Svelte. Right, so this is all what did I do wrong? Import footer from, what have I missed out? Why is it doing that? Is it because I haven't added one of these? So I want to export the footer. What have I done wrong there, man? Oh, sorry. If you watch my channel a lot, you'll know that I have like a little bit of dyslexia. I don't know how much dyslexia. It manifests itself in all sorts of different ways, and one of the things is reading what I've written on a screen. Right, and then I'm going to tell it what element by ID to get. Basically, vanilla JavaScript, and it was footer inner. So that's basically going to be my element that I'm going to pin my footer to, what I've just created. So there we go. And we'll just give that a refresh. Nope. It's not liking something I've written in my index, I think. Yeah, I've not added my class. I've not added a class. Right, but first of all, we'll just get it showing. We'll relax the problem. Right, so footer's showing. My actual footer is now coming from Svelte. It's coming from my Svelte component, because that's where I wrote that block. So it's actually coming from my Svelte component. But now I need to figure out how to get stuff from the footer. There's default stuff that Magento gives you, and we might want to use some of it, like the links and things. So where do I look for that shit? So I'm going to look for it in default, and I'm going to have a look for footer in here, right? So much like, and you can see there's a few instances of this block here. So I could get the absolute footer. That might be a thing to get in this block just to start us off. But it looks like a lot of stuff comes from footer. Looking at that now, yeah, we've got footer, and then switch here, which I'm not going to be using because I've not got currency on it. But yeah, most of my blocks, or both of them if you like, the ones that Magento gives you, is coming from this class here, and we'll just have a quick look at the class and see what's available. So we'll just, much like I said, like that header logo one. But this all does speak to like creating components and a component based build, like what you would do if you was building an e-commerce store in Svelte in its own app and you was using APIs. You'd still build things as component based. I don't think there's any classes for that, but might be able to dig one out in a sec. Anyway, we'll get to that. So first of all, I just want to utilize this in my block. Yeah, great footer. I want to pass my footer classes. So let's just have a look let's have a look. So let's get into vendor. So there's that one there, and that'll take me to it. So if I look at the block, and then it was HTML, and then where's footer? Module theme, block, HTML, footer. Module theme, block, HTML, footer. Sorry, couldn't see it for looking. Right, here we go. So this is my my footer class. Looks like by default I'm able to get right, so page footer, that's the cache key info. Okay, so I'm able to get all that stuff. Copyright looks like a nice simple thing to be able to get. miscellaneous HTML. Obviously, you might want that if you're adding tag managers and such like. And also identities. So we can try some of this stuff. It's all useful stuff, I suppose. Let's go with copyright for now because it looks nice and simple, just to get us started and make sure that things are working. So in my component here, in this PHTML component, this is my PHP. This is my point of entry for PHP. So if I want to pass copyright, similar to what I was just doing in header, I'm able to now get this from the block because I'm passing it into my new block. And I'm able to get the copyright information. And then I'm able to pass this into my Svelte app by saying data, copy, and then in here, nope, I'm able to use $copy. That's nice and concise. And then in my Svelte footer, I'm able to first of all get the variable. So I'm able to say const copyright copy equals, and then much like in my header here, where was it? Let's open up the header. There's a bit of a guard look. I can use query selector to then get all of the data that I add to that block. So I'm able to say document, and this is great. This is sort of really universal for, you know, the way Svelte allows this in its like life cycle. It's really, I just found it really impressive. And then it was footer inner, I believe, yeah. So that's getting me everything. That's getting me data. So I'll be less specific there. I'll say that's getting me my footer data or my data. So I'll say that's getting me my footer data, and then inside my app, inside my actual content thing there, I need to sort of get then from that. So use let, and then copy like I was going to, and then footer data dot I forgot data set, and then it was copy, so it was data copy. So right, and then I'll output it. So copy. Oh, I've done it. Yeah, that's how you output an object in one object. So there you go. I'm getting the copyright information from a database as well in the footer. So let's use a bit of Tailwind to make this look nicer. So we'll say M for BG background. My IntelliSense just come to life. Can't remember how to do background colour. Oh, I can. So we'll say slate 200. Why not? And you'll see it update on the fly. Slate 200 is too light. We'll say grey. Is there a grey? Type that again. Why is it working sometimes and not others? There we go. There we go. These are nice and dark. We'll go with slate 600. See if that kicks in. There we go. Well, it did do, and then it vanished. Right, I don't know what's happening there. Something wrong with my auto reload, but never mind. It was something to do with the way Webpack's compiling and my static content, which if it continues to happen, I'll have a look at because it might be helpful for people to know how to debug that type of stuff. Padding, and we'll get rid of that margin. Actually, we'll have the footer going all the way across, and also we just want a colour of, is it colour? I think it's just white, you'd say. No, can't remember what the fucking thing is. Can't remember what the well, that's where the docs are your friend in it. So we'll just jump into Tailwind. And it's Tailwind CSS. And then, yeah, we'll jump into the docs. and it was colour. What was it? Just text colour. Oh, text colour. I'm sure it's just text colour. Yeah, it is text colour. Text hyphen, right. Rusty, but this is meant to make it what's it, white. This is meant to make your workflow faster. There we go. So let's make that logo a little bit smaller as well while we're at it. We'll just add a, I wonder if we could add a nice width class to the actual image, or whether that's a massive no-no. There you go. It's acceptable in it. And then I wonder if text hyphen center would work. No such luck. I wonder if that needs to be on. Oh no, it's align center. No, in. What is it? What is that Tailwind class? So I'll get it to go center. Is it just center? No, can't remember. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. I am getting sidetracked, but why not? It's my live stream. I can do what I want. Align content center. Content center. Nah, not having it. Not having it. I wonder if I make this a flex. Anyway, let's not get bogged down in that. Right then, so in terms of workflow then and this, you could obviously just start scaffolding things out. Obviously I've gone straight in and got data inset and components and what have you. But you could actually, and one of the benefits of using things like Svelte is you could actually just start scaffolding this out. And just for example, fill in the blanks later. So if you wanted, you could come over and you can, I think this is actually paid the e-commerce one. But the UI that it sort of gives you is really good. If I wanted to like grab a storefront page, something like that, I mean that's quite nice. Let's now part of this is going to be the header, isn't it? So we've got to be careful that we don't. And a footer, like we can grab all this code and fill in the blanks. Let's put this footer in. Let's put this footer in. Have we got a? Can we get just a footer? Footers. Oh, it's in marketing. Let's just get a footer. I'll show you what. There you go. Look, and this springs to life real good. Look, so we can grab all this code here, and we might have to just change some things around in terms of our. God, it's massive, but it gives us a good starting point. Grab this code and get our footer, and then let's keep the copy thing at the bottom. Just add a div that we can put everything into. Did it have a copyright thing at the bottom? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Right, we'll come back to that then. Right, let's just add the footer. And I know I'm adding an extra footer tag here. There's our footer. It's all coming looking nice. Now I want to replace this. So I'd find it. And then it's as easy as just go in. And you basically can go in and fill in the blanks. Now, what are other advantages of this? Well, one thing I can think of is you could get someone else to go in and just build your entire front end. And then you as a Magento dev who knows the intricacies of Magento basically comes in and fills in the blanks. So there's loads of different sort of benefits, if you like, to working in a framework that is more widely supported, if you like, or I don't know how to describe it. It just feels good. It just feels good. It feels good. Right, and I will need to just sort that out because that's going to do my head in. Because I've added I added in my, you've got to watch out for this, I added in my, here look, I made the HTML tag a footer tag, but if I make that a div tag, actually, I wonder if it could be even more, if it could be better, right, got that div there. So I wonder if Tailwind will work outside of this. Let's just try something here. So, right, so my bugbear here, just to clarify in case I wasn't saying that out loud, is this here, this tag being inside. So I think I want to get rid of that. But remember that it was just a background. And then an array class, so I'll get rid of that. I'll get rid of where it ends. Right, if I save that, it's basically going to stay the same, but no, it isn't. It's because it's add an error. I think it's because I haven't got an overall div class. Yeah, it will be. Let's just div this up. And put this inside a div, because Svelte really wants everything to be. Screwed up here, am I? What have I done? Not a valid attribute. Not a valid attribute. Why is it doing that? Right, I love it when I get issues like this. Right, so if I put this back, it's kicking off about this now, what it wasn't before. It didn't seem to mind before. Is it actually compiled my code? Anyway, don't know what it's done there. Just try starting it again. It's only a warning. You're giving me a slap on the wrist. Shouldn't be stopping anything from happening, should it? Let's just change this to a div. Yeah, it's only giving me warnings there. Just don't like them warnings popping up, particularly not while I'm live streaming. Right, let's just. Yeah, I know there's going to be an issue there now, isn't there? Right, I will look into those. But it's only something. Don't like something to do with. Oh, it's because it don't like the actual Svelte doesn't like these attributes here, these sort of hrefs, don't like it. So let's just see if we can. I bet it kicks off actually if I get rid of them. It'll kick off that they're in a href on the link, but obviously we don't need them in there. They're only placeholders. Let's just get rid of them all. It's 21. Yeah, now it's kicking off about the actual element. Just get rid of these. Oh no, I want to keep them. No, I don't care that it's kicking off. It's still deploying. It's still sort of building out, even though I'm getting this error. It's still building out, I think. Oh well, it was. See, these aren't Magento issues. To be fair, these are Tailwind compilation issues, and a better man than me on Tailwind. There we go. It's working anyway. And a better man than me on Tailwind had breezed through these. I'm sure of it. Let's try that again. Yeah, it's built out. Look, it's built out. We've got a footer. Right. Okay, and we've got our Magento bit. Right, okay. And then, yeah, the next thing you could maybe do is, once you've sort of done that, is you could grab something for the content. So if you come back to your UI kit, let's have a look at stuff for, what was we looking at, landing pages. See, I want something without a header. That's going to be massive. See, these are actual pages. I wanted bits, components. Where's my component? Where's my component? Feature section. Right. Okay, let's bang in this feature section into our content. And obviously, you can we'll go copy it. You can export it in different frameworks to work straight away with different frameworks. Yeah, Tailwind's pretty smart. There we go. So yeah, I'm fleshing. That's really nice the way it's just come through like that, innit? There you go, fleshing things out. But yeah, this is sat in Tailwind. So if I go, sorry, sat in Svelte. If I go to another page, like, it's obviously still showing me my Magento stuff, but in my content, it's now showing me this in my content, and that is because we've got to be careful now. Once we get to this point, obviously the first part is a bit of testing, working out how it all works, what goes where, how we sort of get into it and start getting things into it. But then you've got to make sure that you're doing these things in the right places. So if I would say the content container isn't ideal for the default, so we'll get rid of that. But your header and your footer is, right? So what I would want to do really is I would want to remove the header, and I possibly would want to remove the footer and add my own header and footer globally, which means I should be able to take them out of let's make this a little more readable. I should be able to take them out of here, because I shouldn't need them in my home page if I'm bringing the header and footer in globally. So I've got my Svelte footer, and I've got my header. Default. No, wrong default. So many things open. Right then, and my header and my footer. There we go. So I'm just bringing. Oh, header's already in there. What am I doing? Right then. So I've got a header. Got my footer. Let's give this a refresh. Right. What it's doing is it's giving me it, but it's giving me it at the bottom here. Did I get rid of footer container? So it's appending it. It's appending it. It's appending it. So do I need to say that is the right one? Yeah. Right, I'm going to have to move the page wrapper. I'm going to have to move the page wrapper, but obviously I think that might be something for the other day, another day. The main thing is I've got my header showing globally, which is a Svelte component, showing in the right place on, right, I've got to make sure my ordering is right in here as well, so I wanted that before. And then after everything, right? There's better ways. Right, let's just have a look. Let's have a look. So if I want to show that, so I'm removing the header, I'm removing the footer, and then I'm adding a footer back. Right, I could put it inside the page container, which is right. So where would I begin to look? We'll do this as the last thing. I don't even know how long I think I've been streaming a ridiculously long time, longer than usual, over an hour. Yeah, I might hold it there actually, because I'm getting tired. But it just shows that, yeah, I mean, by no means is it foolproof or is it going to be without errors, but it seems possible. It seems possible to completely customize your Magento and import or utilize Svelte as a theming tool, and Tailwind then as well. It's going to take a lot of work because obviously you've got to build everything out from scratch, but with Tailwind and things like your UI kits, that's going to speed that up as well. yeah, I quite enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, everyone who tuned in. Thanks for commenting. And yeah, I'll if you like this type of content, put a like on the video, comment, and I will see you in the next one.